Lesson 44, Subtotal Tricks. In this lesson, we'll take a look at various tricks with automatic subtotals, how to add the subtotals on top, an amazing way to sort the subtotals so the largest customer shows up on top, how to remove subtotals, how to add blank rows after subtotals, which sounds real easy but is the hardest part of this lesson, and then finally, how to add a grand total when someone manually subtotaled the data. Okay, so we have our data set and we want to subtotal by customer. So we sort A to Z and then use the subtotal command at each change in customer. Add subtotals to the 4 fields, but if we would like our subtotals at the top of each set, uncheck Summary Below Data. Click OK. And what you'll see now is the grand total appears at the top, and then the total for the first customer, detail for the first customer, totals for the second customer, and details for the second customer. It's just a different way to present the subtotals. Now, once you have subtotals, to remove them, choose the subtotal command again and click Remove All. Now, here's an amazing trick, and the first time I saw this, I couldn't believe that it was going to work, and when I showed it in my Power Excel seminars, most of the time people don't believe that it actually did work. We'll choose subtotals at each change in customer, use the sum function, and put the summary below the data as usual. If we collapse down to the number 2 view and choose one cell in the revenue column and sort largest to smallest, the largest customer comes to the top, but amazingly, when we go back to the number 3 view, you'll see that Excel properly sorted the data by bringing the detail rows along, so the largest customer and all of their detail rows was moved to the top. Next, the second customer and all of their detail rows was moved to the top. Now it's interesting that within the collapse data there was no sorting that happened. It stayed in the original sequence. And so that is an amazing ability to be able to sort the data when it's in the collapsed view, and Excel will take chunks of data and basically sort those ranges into the proper sequence. All right, the next request that I hear occasionally is the manager would like each subtotal in a separate section with a blank row between the subtotals. Now there's 2 ways to solve this, and for the first way you have to hope that you're only going to be printing the subtotals and not actually giving the report to the manager. I'm going to select all of my subtotal rows, and I want to select the visible cells only, which is Alt semicolon, and now change the row height of just those rows. So back on Home, Format, Row Height, we see that we start at 12.75. I'll double that to 25.5. Click OK. And use Vertical Align Top, this new icon here on the Home tab. When we go back to a number 3 view, you'll see that in Print Preview mode, it would appear as if we had actually added a blank row between each total, when in fact we haven't. We've just made those total rows be double tall. As I said, this will work great if you're printing the document but not actually giving the document to your manager. If you're giving the document to your manager, it becomes much more difficult, although it's possible. Let me undo, and we go back to our regular data set. Now this time, I'm going to go to a new column on the right-hand side. I'm going to select from the first customer total down to the last customer total, down to the grand total, and I'm going to insert a 1 in just those visible cells. So we'll use Find and Select, Go to Special, Visible Cells Only. I'll type a 1 and then Control Enter. Now I want to go back to the number 3 view so I can see the detail rows. What I've basically done here is added a 1 next to all of the total rows. I'm sure you're saying to yourself, okay, what good is that? Well, now I need to shift those 1s down 1 cell. On the Home tab, if I choose Insert, Insert Cells, and Shift Cells Down, you'll see that I've moved the 1 down to the first row of each customer. Now I'll reselect the entire range from the first one down to the last one. And I want to select only the ones. So I could go back to Go To Special and choose constants, but luckily in Excel 2007, they now added constants as something under Find and Select. Now I've selected just the rows that contain the 1, and at this point, I want to insert worksheet rows. That will insert a row above every cell in the selection, which effectively gives me a brand new row after every customer total. As I said, that's something that sounds very simple, adding a blank row underneath each subtotal, but required many different obscure tricks, such as Go To Special Visible Cells Only, typing the 1, Control-Enter to enter the 1 in all of the cells, insert cells to shift the ones down, and then Find and Select constants, and then Insert worksheet rows in order to pull that off. Once we've done all that, we can clear column I and get rid of those temporary ones in order to give us the desired result of a blank row after every subtotal. One other trick involves when someone has taken data and manually subtotaled it. They didn't use the subtotal function, they just used regular totals. What would happen if we would need to total all of these rows? Now in this case, to make it small, there's only 4 customers, but pretend there's 400 customers. When we want to build this total at the bottom, there's a great trick. It's an old accounting trick that I learned from an old accountant, and I have to tell you, the first time he mentioned it, I didn't think it would work, but conceptually, it does. If we want a total of all of those cells, we'll use equal sum and total from the very last subtotal all the way up to the first detail row, and then divide by 2. Divide by 2, what's going on? Well, it turns out that every number is actually in the data set twice. This 900 is here, but it's also in the total. And that's true for every detail row. Provided they added totals to each customer, we can safely assume that every unit shipped is in the report twice. So when we total it up and divide by 2, we get the proper answer. Now let's do a quick test here just to make sure. If I select the 4 cells and we look down in the status bar, sure enough, the sum of those is 6,300. It works perfectly. We can copy that formula across. Let's do another test here in profit. Select the 4 cells. And sure enough, 75,888 matches the actual total here in the status bar, 75,888. Great trick for when someone else has added manual subtotals. You can total them by totaling everything and dividing by 2. Well, I hope you found that helpful, and thanks for watching.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than live lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish, or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.